You're a beginner filmmaker and you just bought an awesome Sony camera and you're looking for the best combination of lens to complement your camera. Well, I'm here to tell you that that duo probably doesn't exist, but I do have a duo of lens that will probably be damn near close to that. And I started with the Sony A7 III. I bought the Sony 85 f1.8 lens as my first lens. You know, it was cool, it was creative, but it definitely wasn't versatile. And now after a lot of testing, trying out a bunch of different lenses from friends as well as renting out a bunch of lenses for different jobs, I've come to a conclusion. And the best lens duo that I've come to, especially for beginner filmmakers, is the Tamron 17-28 f2.8 lens, as well as the Tamron 28-75 f2.8 lens. Okay, alright. Let's try this out. If we just zoom in, zoom out a little bit, and we're good. Don't forget to like this video, guys, especially if you like that cool little trick I just did. And definitely don't forget to click subscribe because you know I'd love to have you. Anyways, guys, let's get back to the video. Like I've mentioned before, guys, you have a focal length in one lens that goes from 17-28, and in the other it goes from 28-75. So effectively, you have the focal lengths between 17-75, which allows you a lot of versatility. Now, you can do a lot of things with this. What can you do? Well, let me show you. We can start off with vlogging, especially with the Tamron 17-28 because it's a super wide lens, so you'll be recording your journey everywhere you go. Definitely some awesome photography in both landscape and portrait because you have that super wide range in focal length. And of course, most importantly, you can get some super creative and cinematic video because you have that wide focal range as well. Now, one of the best things about both of these lenses actually is the fact that they have a minimum focusing distance of 8 inches. Now, Anuj, what does that mean? That means that you can get as close as 8 inches to your subject and still hold focus. This is fantastic because that means detail shots are optimized. So if you're doing like product video or if you're out vlogging and you want to get like a certain texture in the sand or whatever, you can get that. Basically, you have a macro lens at will and you don't have to pay those super expensive prices for like the real macro lens. If you're a beginner filmmaker and if you're anything like me, one of the things you're probably really looking forward to is the bokeh of the lens, which is a direct result of the aperture and how low the aperture of the lens is. I'm here to tell you, well, in both the 17-28 and the 28-75, they go as low as 2.8, which is freaking fantastic because you do get incredibly pretty bokeh. Now, it's not f1.8, it's not f1.4, but it's definitely comparable and something you can work around with your creativity immensely. And then when you pair these lenses with that f2.8 on a camera like the Sony A7S III, a go-to camera for me when it comes to cinematic video, whew, that video just comes out way too smooth and crispy. In fact, instead of you guys just listening to me talk about it, let me show you. Hey, yes sir. Now, I have talked a lot of positive about these lenses, but there is still something that I wish they added to these lenses, and that's gonna be optical steady shot. What that means is basically the lens itself has like a built-in stabilization mechanic. The reason for this is if you like to shoot a lot of handheld, such as I, and try to not use your gimbal as much, then that optical steady shot paired with your in-camera stabilization on the Sony A7 III or the A7S III in my case as well would just be absolutely phenomenal. However, guys, this is not a real issue. It's just something a little extra I would like to have in these lenses. Now, maybe you're like, Anuj, these lenses sound fantastic, but I only want one of them and that's all I can afford right now. Well, let me tell you up front that actually for any beginner filmmaker, the first lens I would highly recommend that you should get is the Tamron 28-75 f2.8. The reason for that is just the raw versatility. You can do anything from cinematic sequences to awesome photos if that's something you're interested in as well. And this particular lens does not come off of my Sony A7 III or my Sony A7S III most of the time. It's on there 90% of the time. So definitely invest in that particular lens first. Comment down below, guys, what lens you guys think is the best combination. I want to hear your thoughts. Definitely don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you got some value from this video, and I'll see you next Wednesday.